afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now live at 4 on this Wednesday, this very humid Wednesday.
Yeah, summer is hanging on, but the plants are loving it, and we're going to be taking your plant and garden questions for Lisa Briggs at the Bruce Company in just a little while, so be thinking if you have a question to ask Lisa.
But first, here's what's making news on this Wednesday. The nation pauses on this September 11th. We'll check in on observances across the country.
A special observance here in Madison, how a Wisconsin family hopes to memorialize a victim of that attack.
And it's day 3 of the Father Nolan trial. Rose Schmidt has today's developments in a trial that is now wrapping up.
Let's take a look outside today, as Mark was saying, a little bit of a sauna bath.
Yeah, it really was.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot.
Yeah, this is a nice memorial. This is a Madison College at a memorial today for 9/11. Rain and storms, the weather words. In fact, we're under a severe thunderstorm watch, and Dana Fulton is watching things from the backyard.
So that severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of southern Wisconsin. Grant County not included in that until 10 p.m. And the last several hours, most of the storms have stayed up to the north around Fond du Lac, now into Sheboygan. Nothing really crossing down south just yet, but we're going to keep a very close eye on the radar. A lot of the heavy rainfall in the last 24 hours also well to the north, though we have had some light showers even in Dane County. You can see a little bit of accumulation, but barely a few tenths of an inch. It is very warm outside. 82 currently in Madison, 84 in Janesville right now, well above average. With our dew points in the 70s, it feels very, very, very muggy. A light breeze coming from the southwest. That'll stay pretty consistent through the night, but you can see where that wind converges in central Wisconsin. That's where the boundary line is, that stationary front. We'll be keeping a close eye on that line because if any storms start to form south of that, it could be quite strong. But we'll take a closer look at what's ahead through the rest of the evening and for tomorrow in just a few minutes. Right now on the road, some good news. No major accidents to report at this time. Here's Verona Road right at Raymond Road. Things moving along just fine, thankfully, around that area. Overall on the Beltline, the eastbound side just a little slower than the westbound side at this time. Westbound, of course, looks okay. Eastbound, those speeds reduce the closer you get to Fish Hatchery Road and John Nolan. Around Prairie du Sac and Sauk City, no delays currently. 26 minutes to get from Janesville to the Beltline, from Sauk City to Middleton, about 15 minutes. And the same goes from Sun Prairie to downtown on this partly sunny but very, very muggy evening.
Back in a few minutes, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Across the country, Americans are marking the 18th anniversary of the September 11th attacks.
It was the worst foreign attack on U.S. soil and left nearly 3,000 people dead. Wendy Gillette reports from New York.
Family members of those killed on 9/11 returned to the World Trade Center site.
Timothy Sean Haskell.
Reading their names and sharing memories of their loved ones, never forgotten.
I look forward to a moment when our souls can reconnect.
These women came to pay tribute to Tanyelle McDay, a computer technician who died when hijackers crashed a plane into the North Tower.
Yes, it's been a long time, but it's like day one all over again.
Others came to honor relatives they never had a chance to meet.
I've never met you before, but you'll always be in our minds, our hearts, and our everyday lives.
Here in Lower Manhattan, many paused at the new 9/11 Memorial Glade to remember the first responders and volunteers who became sick or died as a result of the recovery efforts.
All went above and beyond. They didn't just do their 8-hour day and leave. They too were unsung heroes.
At the Pentagon, where 184 people died, President Trump and First Lady Melania laid a wreath.
We offer you all that we have, our unwavering loyalty, our undying devotion.
Vice President Pence traveled to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, hailing the brave crew and passengers of Flight 93, who helped prevent even more tragedy by confronting the hijackers and bringing the plane down.
They were ordinary Americans, but their heroism would inspire the nation.
18 years later, the nation has stayed true to the pledge to never forget. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, New York.
And many towns in our area held their own 9/11 remembrance ceremonies, including one at the Madison Fire Station 14 on the east side. The Madison Police Department and Madison Fire Department Honor Guards hosted the event. Police Chief Mike Koval and Fire Chief Steve Davis gave remarks and then led a moment of silence. And several people from Wisconsin with Wisconsin ties were among the 3,000 people who lost their lives on 9/11.
That includes a family from northeastern Wisconsin. They're part of a group hoping to memorialize the victims. Eric Franke is here now with more. Eric?
Mark and Susan, Andrea Haberman back on 9/11 in 2001 had her whole life in front of her. She had recently just been engaged. She was just 25 years old. She was on her first ever business trip. It happened to be on the 92nd floor of the North Tower when that first plane hit the building. Now lawmakers and her family unveiled this proposal to make a portion of State Highway 28 between I-41 in Dodge County and Highway 144 in Washington County the state's official 9/11 Memorial Highway. It'll also feature a memorial in Kewaskum that features a 2,000-pound beam from that North Tower.
Today is a very tough day for our family, as you can tell. Time does not diminish the sadness. And I'm going to close by saying, Andrea, we love you, we miss you, and we will see you again.
The memorial broke ground in June. That beam is expected to be put in place by the end of fall. The memorial will also recognize those who were lost in all the subsequent military action post 9/11. That includes military personnel lost to suicide. Now, the lawmakers behind it expect overwhelming support. They hope to fast track it this fall.
All right, Eric, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're hearing from friends and family of the accuser in the trial of retired Catholic priest William Nolan.
Nolan is accused of sexually assaulting a former altar boy more than a decade ago in Fort Atkinson. Rose Schmidt is live from the Jefferson County Courthouse to tell us when they're expecting to wrap this trial up. Rose?
Mark and Susan, day 3 in the Nolan trial has wrapped up for the day, and only 2 witnesses are left to testify before this case will head off to the jury for deliberation. Now, Nolan faces 6 felony counts of second-degree sexual assault of a child after the alleged victim reported that he had been sexually assaulted by Nolan more than 100 times starting in 2006 when he was in middle school. The accuser was a former altar boy at St. Joseph's Catholic Church, and Nolan was the priest. At least 10 witnesses took the stand today, including a youth group leader and family friend of Nolan's who called him popular and inclusive and said she never saw any behavior that would lead her to believe Nolan had molested the accuser. And the accuser's college therapist testified, said they talked about the allegations during their time together.
The first session, we identified some of the issues that he wanted to work on, and he did say that he was abused by a priest the first session.
Do you ever see Father Nolan and Mr. in a situation that you would deem suspicious now in light of the information that you know the state is alleging against Mr. Nolan?
Never.
The brother and childhood friend of the accuser also testified, describing the moments the alleged victim told them he had been sexually assaulted by Nolan. The friend said the allegations, quote, caught him off guard, while the brother told the jury the accuser did spend more time alone with Nolan than some of the other children at the church. We'll hear from the brother on News 3 now at 5. Mark and Susan.
All right, Rose Schmidt live in Jefferson. Thank you.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill held an emergency hearing on the Trump administration's decision to stop taking requests from immigrants looking to defer deportation because they're in the United States for medical treatment, including children with critical illnesses.
I don't want to die. If I go back to Honduras, I will die.
Young immigrants like 16-year-old Jonathan Sanchez, who suffers from cystic fibrosis, pleaded to a House oversight panel for their lives. Last month, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, also known as USCIS, announced it would stop taking requests from immigrants who aren't in the military to defer deportation because they are receiving medical treatment, including, as we mentioned, for critically ill children. Many who relied on the program were given 33 days to leave the country.
Why did all of this happen? Because of the ongoing litigation, we're not able to respond to that.
What is the new policy as you understand it?
These are areas that we are not going to be able to discuss.
You can't tell me why there's a new policy, you can't tell me what motivated the new policy, and you can't tell me what the new policy is.
After public outcry, USCIS said it would reconsider applications that were filed before August 7th.
There are still questions today about whether John Bolton was either fired or he quit as National Security Advisor. It depends on which tweet you read.
I wish John the best. We actually got along very well. I'm sure he'll, do whatever he can do to spin it his way.
CBS News has learned the final breaking point came from reports that President Trump wanted to deploy nuclear weapons against hurricanes. Mr. Trump denied the story but believed Bolton leaked it and was furious. CBS News has also learned tensions escalated after President Trump said he was willing to talk with the Iranian president. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said a meeting with Iran's president is possible during the UN General Assembly, which begins next week.
The president's made very clear he's prepared to meet with no preconditions.
Iran responded the departure of U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton from President Donald Trump's administration will not push Iran to reconsider talking with the U.S.
NFL player Antonio Brown showed up on the practice field of the New England Patriots for the first time one day after the receiver was accused of sexually assaulting his former trainer. Brown signed with the Patriots over the weekend following his tumultuous release from the Oakland Raiders. Brown's former trainer, Brittany Taylor, filed a civil complaint against Brown, accusing the receiver of sexually assaulting her multiple times in 2017 and 2018. Brown has denied all of the allegations. It remains unclear if Brown will make his Patriots debut on Sunday. Head coach Bill Belichick said they are taking it one day at a time.
Oil tycoon T. Boone Pickens has died at the age of 91. Pickens amassed a fortune as an oil tycoon and corporate raider and gave much of it away as a philanthropist. Starting in the 1980s, he became known for launching hostile corporate takeover bids that often resulted in a huge payoff. Pickens was also involved in Republican politics. He was an early backer of George W. Bush's campaigns as governor of Texas and later president. And there's more to come on News 3 at 5. Or 4. 5 at 4.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Here we go. We're going to look at the vaping problem in the U.S. That's coming up.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
A tornado struck the largest city in South Dakota late last night.
It left significant damage to homes and buildings in Sioux Falls. The tornado struck around 11:30 last night, according to the National Weather Service. No fatalities nor serious injuries were reported. Sioux Falls officials are also investigating why sirens did not sound throughout the city during the tornado as they should have.
As the number of vaping-related deaths and illnesses continues to rise, today President Trump proposed a ban on all flavored vaping products. The White House wants to stem the rise in e-cigarette use by children and adolescents. The CDC is investigating more than 450 cases of vaping-related illnesses, along with at least 6 deaths reported in recent weeks.
Getting some stories that we don't want to hear. And we may very well have to do something very, very strong about it.
A statement from the American Vaping Association trade group compared the proposed ban to prohibition and said that it would destroy thousands of legitimate businesses and can lead to the creation of a black market for flavored vape products.
Trade optimism sent stocks soaring on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials gained 227 points, closing at 27,137. The Nasdaq added 85, and the S&P 500 was up 21. Well, thanks to an unusual telehealth program, patients in southern Wisconsin have seen a 35% increase in diabetic eye screenings.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Patients at Mile Bluff Medical Center in Boston walk in and have a retinal photograph taken in a matter of minutes, and those photos are then sent to doctors at UW Health in Madison, where eye specialists review them. Dr. Yao Lin is an assistant professor of ophthalmology at the UW School of Medicine, and she's back. You were here 3 years ago when this program was just starting.
Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome back. So tell us a little bit about what teleophthalmology is.
Sure. So teleophthalmology allows patients to have their eyes checked by a doctor who may be even hundreds of miles away using cameras, smartphones, and other new technologies. These technologies allow patients to have access to high-quality eye care in their communities without having to travel long distances.
And how does that work? I mean, just by looking at a photograph, you can see disease?
Yep. So the eye photographs, they take less than 2 minutes to take. They often do not require eye dilating drops, and we can just look at the photo and be able to tell if a patient has diabetic eye disease or not.
What is diabetic eye disease?
So diabetes can cause damage to the eyes and vision loss, and diabetic eye disease is actually the #1 cause of blindness among working age adults here in the United States. And that's unfortunate because we know from research done, led by researchers here at the University of Wisconsin, that 90% of that blindness can be prevented through early detection and treatment.
And what is the treatment?
So there are a wide variety of treatments available. They include a wide variety of lasers, medications, and the most important thing is that people with diabetes get their eyes checked at least once a year to make sure that they have their disease treated if it's present.
Now, why did you decide to use the Boston medical group, the area in Boston?
Well, we've had a wonderful relationship with the folks in Boston, and Juneau County, as you may know, is a rural community in Wisconsin. At the time that we started this program, they were ranked near the bottom of all Wisconsin counties based on national health measures. And so this was a significant area of need, and we thought this would be a wonderful group to partner with.
So it saves them a 75-mile one-way trip to Madison.
Right.
It's a huge difference, absolutely.
And a 35% increase in screenings. That's amazing.
Yeah, so in our program, since we started, over 600 patients have received vision-saving eye care using teleophthalmology. And we've identified people with diabetic eye disease and other eye conditions who have actually had vision loss prevented and restored their vision as well.
I was going to ask, what other diseases can you detect with this method?
So sometimes we actually have been able to find cataracts. We've been able to find patients with glaucoma and macular degeneration. The program is really aimed at patients with diabetes for diabetic eye disease, but sometimes we find other things.
Well, this has been such a success. Do you think this will become more common now in rural healthcare?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of our success, we are currently partnering with a large number of other Wisconsin health systems to further make this program available all across our state.
And if you detect there's a problem, like say with diabetic eye disease, does the patient then have to come to Madison?
So we've actually partnered with local eye doctors so that patients who are identified to have abnormal findings can actually see somebody more quickly in their own community.
Well, that's great.
So how long does the whole process take when you walk in to get your retinal photograph?
Well, we tell people it depends a little bit on how busy the clinic is, so be patient with us, but usually most patients are in and out within 10 minutes.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the success and continued success.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, the demand for CBD oil continues to rise.
Coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 5, that demand has led to a Janesville CBD company expanding their care product selection. Adam Duxter will have that story coming up in about 40 minutes.
Well, take a look at this. Here's one dad's way to combat his daughter's very short shorts. Dad walks into the front yard wearing his truncated trunks as his daughter mows the lawn. Hoping to teach her a lesson about appropriate attire length, he promises to pick her up from school every day for the rest of the week in his stylish outfits. The daughter says his skimpy shorts are the most disturbing thing she's ever seen. You can't see the boots because you got the banner there, but he's got the cowboy boots.
He's got the cowboy boots too. He's got the whole outfit, the hat and all. She's so over.
She's appalled. And now it's gone viral.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Oh, fathers.
You need those short shorts in this weather.
God, it's so hot outside right now. It's warm, it's muggy, and we do have some rain chances right now. Up towards Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, they're dealing with some very, very strong thunderstorms sliding through. We're looking at the skies to start busting open here over the next few hours. We'll look at your future track over after the break. Right now it is mostly cloudy outside, and as you've heard me say for the last few hours, a little warm and a little muggy, a little bit like a broken record at this point. 82 in Madison, our dew point close to 70 right now. The storms that we have currently off to the east towards Milwaukee, some very heavy rainfall in that direction. There is again a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of southern Wisconsin right now. That pink outline that you see until 10 o'clock as this line of storms sinks south, that really lines up with where we will likely see the heaviest rainfall and the potential for some really strong wind gusts. The stationary front is just stalled right on over us, not moving at all, so we're staying in this unsettled pattern. You can see right where the wind converges where that front is right now. Those storms above that line, not really severe, bringing some very heavy rain, but not too strong. It's the storms south of that line where the warmer areas that we're a little more concerned about. This front is going to continue to travel east. It's not until a cold front crosses over late on Thursday that we finally get a little bit of clearing, a little bit of cooler weather, and drop in our humidity also heading into Friday and Saturday. Right now there is a slight risk for severe weather around Madison, Milwaukee. That line almost exactly lines up with where the severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. The rest of the area under a marginal risk for severe weather. Tomorrow a slight risk for the southwest corner of the state as those storms will slide in later in the day. But still maybe right around the heat of the day, looking at those storms picking up in the late afternoon and evening. So we could have some very strong storms sliding in at the front of that cold front, and then the showers coming through behind it will be a little lighter. Thankfully on Friday, no threat for any severe weather sliding through. Most of the storm chances overnight are going to stay along that state line. By Thursday, again, that line of storms that slides through later on. We'll be dealing with some very heavy rainfall at times, and then by Friday things will clear on up. We'll get some sunshine actually on Friday, and it'll be a little more comfortable outside. Overnight temperatures dropping to the mid-60s under a mostly cloudy sky. May hear a few rumbles of thunder. Expecting quite a bit of lightning with these storm chances overnight. Tomorrow morning, some folks might have a little bit of a wet commute. Mostly cloudy skies where it's not raining, but we do still have the shower and thunderstorm chance for early in the day, though the main threat for severe weather isn't going to slide in until later on in the evening. Quite a bit of rain expected. Parts of central Wisconsin could easily pick up over 3 inches of rainfall over the next 2 days. That line slides through. Behind it, we're mostly cloudy heading into Friday morning, and then by Friday afternoon, our skies will steadily become partly sunny. Temperatures overnight again falling a little more into the middle 60s. Our breeze switching directions. It'll become a little more of a northeast flow for early in the day. 64 in Madison. We do have some patchy fog possible by early Thursday morning as our temps are going to fall pretty close to our dew points. Shower and thunderstorms likely. We'll be picking up quite a bit of rainfall over the next few days. Tomorrow, plan on a high of 80 degrees, warm and humid outside with those shower and thunderstorm chances in the morning, and then the main line coming through in the afternoon. So because of this, we do have an alert day in the forecast for Thursday. Friday and Saturday should be pretty pleasant outside in the afternoon. A little breezy outside Friday, though, behind that front. By Saturday, the afternoon will be pleasant, mostly sunny, but we will have the chance for some thunderstorms sliding in at night. We'll be back in the 80s by Sunday. Chance for some thunderstorms early in the morning, humid in the afternoon, and we stay in the 80s into the start of next week. In fact, we're in quite a bit of a warm stretch throughout the Midwest for early next week. Humid and sunny, a little more summer, and then we'll back off with our temperatures heading towards the end of next week as that system finally does clear on out. But we'll be keeping a close eye on our radar tonight, just watching where those storms do pop up. And if they start popping up now during the heat of the day, that's a little more concerning than if they do later in the day.
All right.
Timing's big.
Keep an eye on things.
Yes.
All right, Dana. Thank you.
Dana.
Well, it may be hard to imagine a bar without alcohol.
But they're growing in popularity as more and more people are looking for booze-free alternatives. Kenneth Craig explains.
When this New York City bar opens for one night every month, thirsty patrons pack the house ready to try something new. An evening of drinking that doesn't involve any alcohol.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to come see what it was all about and have a really fun, sober night enjoying nice cocktails.
All of those craft cocktails are alcohol-free.
To be clear, these aren't juice in a glass on ice, right?
Definitely not. Some of these things have to infuse over 24 hours.
Listen Bar also serves non-alcoholic IPA beer and a dry, sparkling rosé. Founder Lorelei Bandrowski was inspired after taking a month off of drinking.
It made me realize that alcohol just became, you know, like the fuel that all these things are running on, and I don't think it's always to everyone's benefit.
There's an increased demand for zero-proof cocktails and spirits, and the growing Sober Curious movement has more people taking a break from drinking altogether. Sam Thonis and Regina Delia recently opened up the booze-free Getaway Bar in Brooklyn.
It's not a coffee shop, it's not a juice bar, it's something very different.
I mean, I think for us, the vibe of the space was very important. It needed to feel like a bar.
They say everyone is welcome, whether they're sober or not, and that's the same message at Listen Bar.
Do you see this movement as only continuing to grow, that this is only going to become bigger and bigger?
Absolutely.
Lorelei says her mission is to rewrite nightlife, serving up a fun evening that doesn't revolve around alcohol. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Interesting concept.
The trend is coming to Madison,
yeah, apparently
too.
The Noosh Bar, Noosh, on Regent Street is alcohol-free.
Good idea.
Yeah, especially around students.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, there's still more to come at 4 on the medical front. IUDs may do more than help with birth control.
They may also lower a woman's risk of ovarian cancer. We'll have more on that when Live at 4 continues. There's a live look downtown. Cloudy sky on this Wednesday afternoon, and Dana is watching a chance for storms later today. Nearly 14,000 women will die from ovarian cancer this year.
Now, new research finds women who use IUDs for birth control may be lowering their ovarian cancer risk. Kathy Walsh has more from Denver.
intolerable.
For 5 years, Amy Dixon Plackey has bravely battled ovarian cancer with chemotherapy, clinical trials, and radiation. Even now, she's in treatment.
I won't be cured, but I'll just live with this as a chronic disease, much like, if someone who had diabetes or arthritis.
Amy has an inherited genetic mutation known to increase the risk of ovarian cancer. Tests show so does her daughter, Abby.
That was pretty hard for me to take.
It was shocking and obviously scary. There's so many unknowns with cancer.
But unbeknownst to the Plackeys, Abby's choice for birth control, an IUD, may actually reduce her risk.
I think this data is incredibly compelling.
The Plackeys' oncologist is Dr. Sakath Guntapalli at UC Health. He and Dr. Lindsay Wheeler are two of the doctors at University of Colorado School of Medicine who analyzed 11 international studies.
We found that the risk of ovarian cancer was decreased when a patient had a history of IUD use.
The risk reduction ranged from 15 to 32%. The belief is it may be tied to the hormones in some IUDs, or the increase in immune cells due to an IUD's inflammatory effects could play a role.
We know that immune cells are increasingly being thought of as being involved in cancer prevention.
For the Plackeys, it's a win.
It's just terrific.
I do genuinely feel like it's a big step in the right direction.
Doctors suggest talking with your OBGYN about what contraception is best for you. Kathy Walsh, CBS News, Denver.
And according to the American Cancer Society, ovarian cancer mainly develops in older women, with about half of women diagnosed age 63 and older.
It's fascinating research.
It really is.
Well, it's time to get your plant and garden questions answered when we come back.
Lisa Briggs is standing by at the Bruce Company waiting
1,000 miles.
to take your calls. The number 270-9933. I'm not sure who's talking. We'll get to your calls right after this.
Good news for anyone on Verona Road or Raymond Road. Things are open and moving, which is really nice. Folks driving through just fine. You can see how nice fresh the roads look. Around Dane County, things are okay. This accident along 39th South actually just blocking the shoulder. As you can see, no delays north or southbound. Along the Beltline, quite a bit slower on the eastbound side. The closer you get to Fish Hatchery Road. The westbound side also seeing some delays hopping on near Fish Hatchery Road, and then things improve quite a bit. Some delays around Sauk City. Prairie du Sac looks okay. And then closer you get to Baraboo, there are a few delays downtown as well. But again, no major accidents. 27 minutes to get from Jaysville to the Beltline, 17 to get from Sauk City to Middleton, and from Sun Prairie to downtown will take you 18 minutes this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
All right, Dana, thank you. There is a corn maze in London, Ontario, Canada. It's getting a lot of attention as it pays honor to the town's 18th annual corn maze. It's a Back to the Future theme, complete with clock tower and DeLorean. The Thamesville Maze has been cutting corn corners since 2001, offering residents and tourists a fun, challenging, and rare treat.
I love to see those. Best time of the year.
Yeah, that's quite a maze. Well, go ahead.
We're taking your plant and garden questions today for Lisa Briggs. The number to call is 270-9933.
And Lisa is live at the Bruce Company in Middleton. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. How are you guys?
Good. You ready for some calls?
I am.
All right, we'll start with Judy in Verona. Hi, Judy.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
My question for Lisa is about Baptista or false indigo. I have a lovely plant with some really nice seed pods. I'd like to know if I can propagate them.
It depends on if it's a cultivar or a named variety, or if you have one like the native one. So if it's the white or blue native, you can grow that from seed, but if it's something like Prairie Twilight Blues or one of the newer varieties, they're usually pretty sterile. So you can certainly use the seed pods for winter interest, but you probably won't get much germination out of them.
Okay. Yeah, I've had the plant for about 10 years, and I don't know what variety.
Well, is it one of the more fancy ones? Like there's Prairie Twilight Blues is the oldest, and it's blue with sort of an yellow-orange flashing in the middle on the inside. That would be a cultivar. If you have not seen seedlings coming up in the past 10 years, it's probably very likely that you have a variety that's sterile. Okay. So probably not.
All right, let's go to Sandy in Dodgeville. Hi, Sandy. What's your question?
Hi. I would like to know, how do you recommend to get rid of Japanese beetles?
Well, Japanese beetles spend about 85% of their life in the ground under your turf, and the grubs are eating the grass, the roots of your lawn. So the first thing to do as the first line of defense is to use a grubicide. There are chemical grubicides, and there are more organic treatments that you can use that are super effective, that will cut the population when it's in the ground. That being said, Japanese beetles can fly up to a mile. So if there's something in your yard that they want, they're going to come and get it. If you have plants that are not seed or fruit bearing, you can use a systemic insecticide that as they chew on the leaves, they will die. But you can't use something like that on, say, a food crop that either you eat or wildlife eats. In that case, you just need to spray with 8 and treat your soil. It's the best way to go.
And hope for an early frost. Let's go to Judy in Monroe. Hi, Judy. What's your question?
Yes, I have full-size maple trees, and I have a problem with them dying kind of out of the center. And there's a lot of them around town that are also dying. They have the little more reddish leaf to them. I was wondering if something we can do to help it.
Well, the major cause of decline in maples is planting depth. And so if your maple is going, pardon?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. If your maple goes right into the ground like a telephone pole, it's probably planted too deep. And then that's just sort of a decline. You'll get early fall color, you'll get more tip dye back on it, your canopy will be thinner. The only thing you can do to combat that is to apply like a tree fertilizer. The spikes work really well. And then if we have a droughty kind of period in the late summer, to make sure that you irrigate it.
Okay, let's go to Judy.
That wasn't my question.
Judy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's your question?
My question is about a daffodil.
that
Okay.
doesn't bloom. It produces wonderful green every year. Very nice sized bush of daffodils, but it never blooms.
Well, there are a couple things you can do. If the bulbs are old and have been in the ground for a while, you can certainly put in a bloom booster, which is a fertilizer that you can just broadcast on the soil in the area where the bulbs are. You can do that in the fall, and you can also do that in the spring, and that will help boost flower production. And though daffodils are somewhat shade tolerant, if these plants are in a place where it's pretty shady, then they might not be getting enough sun to develop the flower buds, and you might want to lift them and move them to some place that's a little bit brighter.
All right, let's go to Donna in Monticello. Hi, Donna. What's your question?
Yes, we have a pear tree. It's about 2 years old, and they look beautiful up there, and they drop and they're rotten. Pears are.
Okay.
So what could
So
you do to keep...
pears-
There you go.
So
No,
pears
they
are...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, they look
Pears
gorgeous
are a
up there in the
fruit that-
tree.
Okay,
All right,
right,
I'm
but
a-
you have to pick them.
Okay, it's your
pears
turn.
Are not a, yeah, pears are not a fruit where it develops on the tree for a long period of time like an apple. When pears are ripe, you have to pick them or they will rot on the tree or fall and rot. So it's something that, and usually I would say pears are ripening end of July into mid-August. So it's a little bit earlier than you would say an apple tree. So what you have to do is you just have to harvest it.
Didn't know that.
Don't leave them up there.
Good to know. All right, Rosalind, what's your question?
Yes, I had a strange thing with the potato plants I had this year. I dug up one of them, and they had little green, I didn't know what they were. They were little clumps like the cherry tomatoes are. And the
Okay.
bottom of the plant had the potatoes, but there were tomatoes on the top of that plant and potatoes on the ground.
Oh, that is really weird. So
Yeah.
potatoes and tomatoes are from the same family, the Solanaceae family. Also peppers and a couple of other things, including some things that are a little bit poisonous. Eggplants in that family as well. I have never heard of a tomato plant producing potatoes, though. So I am stumped. I don't know what to tell you. Did you grow from seed or did you buy the plant somewhere? That is just
she's
really
gone.
weird.
She's gone. So
I don't know what to say.
you handled it well.
It's rare you get stumped, Lisa. Very rare.
I just do not know what to say about that.
All right, well, we're out of time. Thanks for everyone for calling in. Thanks, Lisa. We'll see you soon. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast. keeping an eye to the skies.
Yes, yes. Right now the storms are over towards Milwaukee, but it is very cloudy outside, and we still have the chance for some strong thunderstorms to pop up right now. Looking at our Doppler track currently, I do want to turn on our wind so you can see that converging line right along the dells. That's right where our stationary front is currently. So the concern, of course, any storms popping up below that could have all that warm fuel and be a little stronger for us right now. But again, the storm's off towards Milwaukee. We do still have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect, that pink outline for most of southern Wisconsin. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the radar this evening. That watch is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight.
So we will watch.
We will watch. We will watch closely and see if we can keep those storms to the north or well to the east.
All right. You'll let us know. Thank you,
Of
Dana.
course. Dana.
And tomorrow here on Live at 4, we'll find out what's happening in the 608 this weekend.
And we're going to hit the track with Harvey Briggs in the Mustang Shelby GT350. That looks like fun.
It was fun.
That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. In today's Final Touch, it's a special welcome